Spanning as far back as the NES, whatever the game trend, you bet someone took it and slapped a Simpsons label on it, culminating in the Simpsons Road Rage. Definitely not a clone of Sega's Crazy Taxi, just with a bit of Simpsons gloss. Come on Sega, suing for plagiarism was too far. Road Rage's developer, Radical Entertainment, formed in Vancouver in 1992, churning out things like Terminator and Mario's Time Machine for the NES, Beavis and Butthead for the Sega Genesis, and Jackie Chan's Stunt Master for the PS1. You know, games that were so shite they sold so little and are now worth a fortune because scarcity. How these guys were ever given an IP like The Simpsons is beyond me. But Simpsons Road Rage sold well enough, so Radical were greenlit to retain the rights and spawn a sequel. And rather than risk being sued again by Sega, they changed formula and risked being sued by Rockstar. The Simpsons Hit and Run. Training wheels for Grand Theft Auto. I remember 2005 like it was just yesterday. Dad bringing home my first console, a used slim PS2, silver, complete with SpongeBob, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, Crash Nitro Kart, and this. The top contender was no contest. I'd been watching The Simpsons every night at 6 on telly as long as I could remember, so unsurprisingly this game caused my mum to set time limits for how long we could be on the PlayStation. It's easy to be blinded by nostalgia, so I'm going to do away with rose-tinted glasses and give this bad boy an honest and fair anal cis. A manual. Don't see those nowadays, do you? And a disc. Soon enough we probably won't see those either. Despite the propaganda you just saw, I'm playing the Xbox version. Sorry PS2 fiends, but this is the optimal version. And I don't want to hear about 4K with your latest graphics card on your PC or whatever you fucking assholes, I'm right. It's another normal day at 742 Evergreen Terrace. Homer's not so concerned with the spy camera he just destroyed as he is with getting the new Cola on TV. The first of a few simple errands the game starts you off with. Drive to the Quickie Mart, collect Lisa's science project, run some children over. Wait, what? It gives you a feel for the controls and how the game's structured while introducing 3D Springfield. The score really brings it to life, and I was surprised to learn it wasn't composed by Danny Elfman like in the show. No matter what you're doing, it feels like it's just another day thanks to this track. By day's end, Homer's had 2 races, destroyed his boss's car to avoid being caught late for work, gathered and returned the Flanders stolen property, ram-raided a guy just trying to deliver some video games, and followed a dodgy black van. This underpins 5 out of 6 mission types throughout the game. Chasing vehicles, racing vehicles, evading vehicles, destroying vehicles, collecting items from vehicles. Did I mention you drive vehicles? Then there's platforming. Awkward camera angles make it hard to judge distances and give mad texture popping at the most annoying times. If you're on a timer and fall off, you're gonna have to restart the mission. But given it's only 10% of the gameplay, this isn't a big deal. On foot, you'll see not only that you can double jump, power slam, or kick things, which is oh so addicting, but also these wasp cameras buzzing round. See, citizens of Springfield have noticed these as well as those dodgy black vans appearing all over town.
Marge, that black van is spying on us.
Oh, homie. You're so sexy.
What?
And it's up to Homer, Bart, Lisa, Marge, and who else but Apu to find out what the fuck's going on.
You're spying on Springfield with your black vans and surveillance cameras.
Black vans? Aren't they connected with some sort of pizzola concern?
As I said, there's 6 mission types. These span through 49 main missions across 7 levels, so toward the end it feels a bit repetitive. Like level 1, really a tutorial level, has Homer hit a truck repeatedly to collect Bone Storm games before time runs out. Level 6 has Bart hit a truck to collect laser guns before time runs out. Same thing, shorter timer. There is a bonus mission in each level to unlock vehicles, but structure-wise, these are no different. In any case, this should run the game dry pretty quick, but it's everything around the gameplay that saves it. The amount of show references would make up a whole video alone, and half of them aren't needed in a driving game like this, but they included them anyway. Like the Quickie Mart rooftop garden, you can actually drive off the track and use as a vehicle, and even little touches like the Alberto graffiti around town or Panda Chow boxes in Moe's Tavern, which, if you've seen that episode, is kinda dark. Most characters are here and all voiced by the actual cast. The only recurring character I don't remember seeing is Fat Tony, but his presence looms with the mob running bet races for coins and even encasing people in cement, one of the game's many gags which I'll come back to. There's 3 parts of Springfield: the suburbs in levels 1, 4 and 7, downtown in levels 2 and 5, and the harbour/Hollywood Hills in levels 3 and 6. Yeah, it's split into 3 maps, but it is that awkward phase between the Pipsqueak Vice City and Colossal San Andreas, and the amount of landmarks more than make up for it. I love that you can go inside the nuclear power plant with a whole section devoted to the Stonecutters episode, and the android's dungeon and baseball card shop being on the sunny hills near Hollywood's a fun idea. And the devs know to change things when reusing maps to avoid staleness, like Burns' mansion being off limits in Homer's level but opened up for Marge's, or change of aesthetic to service the plot, i.e. Buzz Cola signs and contaminated water in level 6 shows the aliens are taking over, versus the final level becoming a Treehouse of Horror episode showing they've succeeded. 5 characters across 7 levels obviously means 2 have to be reused.
Right.
Not saying Lisa and Marge are people's least favourite characters.
Not a Lisa episode.
But I don't feel like smiling.
Tell me you've never said that. Vehicles feel like go-karts, where the slightest knock can send you... And that reverse 180 flick never gets old. There's a shortcut wherever you see crusty glass, but also through alleys, drive-thrus and ramps, which are made obvious by these car repair spanners. Those are pretty self-explanatory. If you do blow up your vehicle, there's a few choices. 1, keep driving it as a wreck, which is friggin' hilarious. 2, hitchhike, because carjacking's a no-go, but running kids over isn't. Or call a vehicle from a phone booth.
Hello, drivers. Got a little situation here.
Here you'll see vehicles have different stats suitable for certain missions, i.e. something tough like the Plow King or School Bus is best when you need to destroy a vehicle, whereas say the car built for Homer is better for a race without too many turns because it's fast but handles like dog shit.
People say I'm slow. Wait a minute. That was an insult.
Sometimes you need to both keep up and destroy a vehicle, so something like Apu's car comes in handy being quick and a bit more solid. If you're causing ruckus on foot, there's no cops to arrest you. No one even fights back aside from WASP cameras. But hitting things with a vehicle? Oh no. That meter around your map fills up and in no time it's a hit and run. Basically a 5-star wanted level, but unlike GTA, you ain't escaping. Barely a scrape or slight prang and you're busted. The $50 fine isn't a biggie, but getting busted mid-mission pretty much screws you if there's a timer or vehicle to follow. Difficulty's pretty mild till Lisa's level where it spikes harder than her mace-looking 3D head. Alright, it's not that bad, I just wanted to point that out. But you do notice pedestrians clump together in narrow areas, so hit and runs come easy and really screw you against an already shortened timer. Like here on the wharf, where the game's placed these fish you need to collect right by pedestrians in the cuntiest corners. And traffic merging into you is why we can never trust AI people. If you look at the missions canonically, it's pretty dark. Homer tries to murder Smithers to avoid being caught late for work, Bart gets hired to murder people for using cell phones, and Lisa intentionally blows a car up knowing her brother's inside.
Oh, God. I destroyed the limo and killed Bart.
That's what I'm saying.
He wasn't in the limo.
I guess she's not thinking straight after being stalked all over town by Milhouse. Honestly, you'd think the guy knows how to teleport or levitate. I rest my case. Missions alone don't do much for progress, as the game wants you to explore and collect. Each level's got a checklist of 20 WASP cameras to take out, 7 hidden baseball collector cards, each with a classic episode reference, plus those gags I mentioned, like Rod and Todd hiding in the bomb shelter in the Flanders backyard, or setting off some flaming flaming Homers in Moe's Tavern. That end of town's where the vibe's at. Just driving around pointlessly as Bart, listening to that ambient track, Legitimate Business, it's so chill. There's also costumes for each character you have to buy to 100% the game, and some are required for missions, like when Lisa goes undercover as a hipster to take down Snake, or Donut Head Homer, cause why wouldn't you? Like the gags, they reference classic episodes, Homer's Moo outfit, Policewoman Marge, American Citizen Apu to name a few. Bart's ninja outfit you'll see gives him flipping and handstand abilities when he's bored and not moving. Once again, little touches they didn't have to add, but I'm glad they did. I noticed most gags and references are from pre-1997, which is when the show started to dip in ratings. Yet Hit and Run feels like a classic episode, despite most of the show's best writers having long since left by the time it dropped. I'd done some digging and found most writing was done by Chris Mitchell, one of Radical's developers, so well done, Christopher. Existing villains trying to take over the world with wasp cameras, crop circles and contaminated water isn't the most original idea, but the way it wraps around each character's story is quite neat. Like Bart being taken by a UFO at the end of his level, only to show up high on LSD and Lisa's after she spent the whole time looking for him, which kicks off Marge's level by having her nurture him and demanding answers. To be honest, here's where it gets a bit lazy. Marge doesn't have her own score.
I am so embarrassed.
Instead, they just reuse Homer's in the suburbs, and her motives for the missions are a bit basic. Hear me out. Bart's level 2, what I think's the best level in the game, starts with a mission where you have to avoid Principal Skinner, who's expelling anyone caught skipping school, then get to the try and save to get a copy of Bone Storm 2. It makes sense on how Bart's just able to free roam around town, gives a nod to classic Simpsons with the Bone Storm reference, and adds some hilarious banter between Bart and Skinner during the cat and mouse run to the try and save.
Afraid so.
Afraid not.
Afraid so. Oh, damn your lightning fast wit.
Level 4, by comparison, starts off with Marge trying to get info from Chief Wiggum on the crop circles. Wiggum wants donuts, but the donut shop's closed, so she decides to ram a donut truck in order to get some for him so he'll spill whatever info he has. You could have had something like Wiggum looking the other way since the aliens bribed him with donuts, then Marge rams a truck for better quality donuts that don't have suspicious green ooze coming out of them to Wiggum's delight. He then snaps out of it and spills the beans. I know story shouldn't matter in a video game, but setting standards high early on which drop as you progress just feels a little off. Apu's kind of shoehorned in as a placeholding character for level 5, but his monologue in my opinion is the best in the game.
300 horses of
Convenient power. Who put this here? It makes no sense. I am a lean.
mean Vindaloo machine. Move it, Cracker.
You'll memorise his racial slangs pretty quick in the infamous Never Trust a Snake mission. Multi-stage with a shorter timer that doesn't refresh. To be fair, it's piss easy once you've memorised the route. Watch and learn. Fuck. Let's try that again. I'd like to pretend I didn't practice that over 50 times and didn't fry my PS3's heatsink in doing so.
Would you like a blow dry?
Toward the end, you'll notice hit and runs throw more cops at you, wasp cameras have shields, and items get more expensive, and there's only so many cola boxes and vending machines to break open. I wound up sifting through most previous levels just to get 600 coins to buy the supervillain car in level 6, which is needed for the set to kill mission.
I'm set to kill, alright? Set to kill this blasted controller. I did hit a person.
We'll leave him to his gaming addiction. It's not like he'll become self-aware like the Simpsons do.
Nice driving, man.
I forgot my mission. Your driving is adequate, but lacks passion.
It's true. Women drivers aren't very good.
They even know when it's Halloween and Christmas. Marge spruces the lounge up for the occasion, and Homer takes his second job back as
Quote-unquote Santa.
The game's got so many Easter eggs like this. Cars flying off parking lot roofs when you destroy them, even the lighthouse glow in level 6 resembling Homer, hinting that you'll play as him in the final level. Looks like Grandpa finally died. Wait, never mind. Like I said earlier, it's basically a Treehouse of Horror episode where Kang and Kodos have taken over. There's jack-o'-lanterns, zombie people, horror episode references, and even witches on broomsticks you can ride. Off to Hogwarts, y'all. Surprisingly, these zombified vehicles handle better than most normal ones in the game, and seeing a horror spin on things like the Spooky Mart or Evil-Eyed Donut Man adds needed change given it's the third time we're in this map. On the other hand, mission staging's all over the show. Like you get time just to go next door and talk to Flanders, then get a whole new timer after talking to him. Or when you pick up Moe's chainsaw to fight zombies off, the game then says go back home. You don't go inside or even leave your car, but you're then told to go to the school playground. Why didn't it just say that before? I know I said platforming isn't a big deal since it's only a small part of the game, but Christ is your patience tested trying to get to Burns' office. The camera gets stuck on the wall, and misjudging these skinny poles is guaranteed the first few tries. But these are all
Small potatoes.
compared to the finale. It's not the hardest mission in the game. Just slow the Johnny Knoxville Jeep down, avoid pedestrians, and you're at the school playground to give those aliens a can of whoop-ah nuclear waste in no time. My main issue is the fact that it's the third time of doing essentially the same mission. Homer sacrificing his own father to destroy the aliens is funny. Maybe that skeleton meant something. But the repetition makes the ending feel pretty anticlimactic. You're left thinking, so that's it?
That fortune teller was right. I do end up dying in a spaceship crash.
So what are my thoughts? Well, characters are rough, looking borderline creepy, missions are recycled more than the mega phrase, and for a game that markets itself on the fact you can now get out of the car, the platforming leaves a lot to be desired. But, and it's a big but, for every flaw the game has, there's about 10 things it does right. Never before or after has a Simpsons IP, probably any IP for that matter, given so much fan service. They didn't have to put a Jebediah Springfield statue specifically in Bart's level with the head that comes off, Burns Casino as a landmark despite only being in one episode, or a depressed Willy jumping off the observatory. And no one's talking about it. I hadn't played Hit and Run for a good decade before this review, and I honestly thought it'd be another cheesy game from its era that trends on YouTube for how horrible it is. Instead, I was reminded of a game that anyone, gamer or not, can pick up and play while having a good laugh. The ease of controls, the score unique to each character, having real versions of Lisa's toy car and Bart's go-kart to make sure their vehicles were show references, all things that anyone can appreciate whether they notice it consciously or not. There's a massive cult following for Hit and Run, and not just for being the only good Simpsons game. It's an unapologetic time capsule of the early 2000s, a time where you could say anything and not have the woke police on your ass, and I think a lot of the geniusly written character dialogue puts testament to this. Which is why I'm one of a few who would rather not see a remake. I don't expect anyone to agree with me, but imagining a modern Hit and Run, do you think that'd allow Apu to call someone a c***er? Or for kids to be kicked down the street? The show itself doesn't even allow Apu to be a talking character anymore, since he's classed as a quote-unquote racial stereotype. And last I saw, Barney quit alcohol in favour of coffee. And given what the current owners have done to other IPs, can you really see them giving developers free rein to remake this? Even this aside, things like the post-grunge rock music and pop culture references of the time give a unique feel to the game, a feel of belonging in the 2000s. Don't get me wrong, I'd give anything to go back, and I do in a sense every time I play, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, sometimes we should just be thankful for what we have. Enjoy those dodgy 6th gen character models and glitches that teleport you halfway across the map, all held together by the strong feeling of being in a living, breathing Springfield. Because seriously, perfection lies in imperfection. Which is why, with my amateur due diligence, I can confidently give The Simpsons Hit and Run an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, people.
Radical.